Now, Shoprite workers at the Freedom Park store, which is south of Johannesburg, are back in the streets today calling for mass testing for COVID-19. Now, this comes after a manager tested positive for the virus. Our reporter Linda Mnisi is back there today and joins us live. Good afternoon to you, Linda. So we see that the protesting continues. The workers at Shoprite complaining that they have not been tested and have not had access to the resources needed to be able to do so, and putting that blame squarely at the foot of the management at Shoprite. What is the latest there today?
Well, indeed, Tom, you'll remember that those allegations were that management did not oversee the mass testing of all employees that may have come in contact with the said manager. But it seems today those testings are currently underway. As you can see behind me, those are some of the Shoprite workers that are going into those facilities. We're told they're not the only ones that will be tested today, but everyone who works in the shopping center. But they, of course, have prioritized Shoprite workers who have been calling for the mass testing. It seems their protest has bared results today, but of course we have received response from Shoprite in terms of their response to all the allegations that we've been hearing yesterday, and they say that they've been, adhering and following the guidelines set by the NICD as well as the Department of Health. And in their statement, I will quote, they say anybody with a temperature higher than 37.5 degrees is immediately referred to one of our mobile clinics for further testing, or where a mobile clinic is unavailable close by, employees are referred to the nearest clinic. So they say those are some of the measures that they take should an employee test positive. But of course we've seen workers demand to be tested, saying that they've only issued out or hired taxis that would take them to Charlotte Maxeke, but there they were turned away and were told that in fact they had no appointment and that the facility did not even know that they were coming. But I've got with me some of the people that have tested, that have just completed their tests here. It seems, everything is going smoothly. Thank you so much for your time, sisters. Chazela ukuthi njengoba senitestile nizizwa kanjani?
Ngizizwa ngihappy because emakhaya sinabantwana, ifamily yethu manje njengomntana make funwa ukuphumela ngaphandle bazothi hayi mama kusebenza Shoprite kune corona eJardini, sebeyasaba manje umphakathi.
And lokho kuyi-affect kanjani impilo yakho nabantwana bakhe ekhaya? Nabo bathukile mhlawumbe?
Bathuke kakhulu because manje umntana makethi une-running nose, so yasaba usazi nokuthi seke nayo na. Sithukile ngempela ngoba lento siyayibona ema-TV ingempela ikhona.
All right, there you have it. I've got another one that we actually spoke to, Tammy. She'll give us a sense of basically how they're also feeling following those results. I mean, yesterday you were protesting, nithi nifuna ukutestwa, namhlanje niyatestwa. Yini mhlambe into nihappy ngayo ukuthi i-management eseyiyenzile this far?
We are very happy ukuthi umphakathi abasebenzi bonke nawo wonke ama-TV nationally azamile ukusinceda ukuze sizigcine sitesta, even though basidelayile nje bathatha isikhathi mara ekugcineni sitestile sawalwela ama-rights ethu.
One of our guidelines ekumele bawalandele ukuthi baqashe i-manager or bathathe i-manager from inside the Shoprite ukuthi izo-addressa ama-concerns wenu. Do you think ukuthi ahandlwe ngendlela bekumele ahandlwe ngayo?
No, I don't think so, because from the start, since Sunday, it's only yesterday last strike corner sinceda umphakathi na wonke umuntu basabakhombisa ukuthi we are very serious about this thing esiyenzayo, azange sayehlisa umoya wethu. Even ama-temperature.
All right, there you have it. Tammy, some of those employees from Shoprite expressing that they're finally relieved that this had already started affected some of their family members. One of them actually mentions that, it was affecting where she lived, basically, and saying that she had even started panicking, not knowing, whether their children had it or not. But of course, those testings continue right now behind me, and everyone who works in this complex in Devlin will of course be tested. We're told they're also going to be, organizing scheduling mass testings for the community, because you'll remember these are frontline workers in these essential shops that come into contact with thousands of people on a weekly, on a daily basis. So those mass testings for the community will also be organized, Tammy.
I think some lessons there to be taken out, Linda. The fact that it actually is every single employer's responsibility to ensure that they provide the facilities for testing should a case of this nature arise. All good and well that they organize taxis to take the workers to Charlotte Maxeke to be tested, but that the onus ultimately is on them to make sure that testing facilities are actually available right there for the workers to have.
Indeed, and you'll remember one of the Minister of Employment and Labour, Linda Mnisi, mentioning and giving guidelines to employers just before we entered stage 4 about some of the precautionary measures that needed to be taken, that needed to take place. Employees, in fact, need to be told about some of the guidelines and what happens when one of them tests positive. And like I asked, you remember I asked one of the employees, whether one of the managers within the structures of Shoprite was employed to address some of the concerns that may arise as a result of this. And she says that there wasn't, in fact, any of this that happened. So it basically is about the response from the employers when it comes to testings, specifically for their employees. Everyone needs to be above board, and that, the response basically from the employees needs to be that they need to act swiftly and fast, because here we're sitting with people that have been going back and forth from their homes when they in fact have come into contact with someone that tested positive.
And also, when you spoke to one of the ladies, she mentioned about the stigmatization that actually comes from the coronavirus, where at home the neighbors would say, no, that house has got, coronavirus because the lady works at Shoprite Checkers. Also talking to the stigmatization that we find in communities that still continues to persist at this time.
Indeed, that's one of the concerns that even the World Health Organization has raised, that in order for countries and the world to beat this pandemic, what needs to be eradicated is the idea, or rather stigma, that is put on people that test positive, or even people that subject themselves to testings. You'll remember even the National Department of Health has cautioned against publishing visuals of people being tested or swabs being taken, so as to eradicate, that stigma. One of the most important things is actually information and imparting knowledge and information, and this is also obligatory when it comes to the employer side, to educate their workers about what needs to happen should, an employee test positive, so that they themselves do not feel stigmatized, or they don't stigmatize each other just amongst themselves, because post the deep cleansing, post everything going back to normal, the employee, if they recover, will be able to return to work, and it will of course affect their work post this pandemic.